And it's a good Sunday morning. Welcome to Church of the Total Man, a church for men. So get your coffee, a Bible, or just sit back and enjoy the wisdom of the ages. We are in Proverbs chapter 19 today. Better is a poor person who walks in his integrity than one who is crooked in speech and is a fool. Let's take a look at that and how that applies to men. Friends, girlfriends, potential mates, potential wives. Better is a poor woman who walks in integrity than one who is crooked in speech and is a fool. We want a woman, as a man, we want a woman who has integrity, which means that she is the same on the inside as she is on the outside. Someone who is congruent. Desire without knowledge is not good. Desire without knowledge is not good. Whoever makes haste with his feet misses his way. Two interesting concepts here. Desire without knowledge is not good. Did you do your homework on anything? Buying a car, asking a woman out. Do you know enough about her? Why do you desire something that you don't know anything about? I contend that there are many things that you might desire that you did not research first. And you always get yourself into trouble by operating on your emotions, your desire, rather than knowledge. We've talked about intellect over emotions. Do your homework with everything. And whoever makes haste with his feet misses his way. Like, don't be in a hurry. When you are in a hurry, you will make more mistakes in almost everything in life. When a man's folly brings his way to ruin, his heart rages against the Lord. Why do we get mad when we have to sleep in the bed that we have made? And then we rage at the Lord. We rage at other people. You've heard me talk about the complicate, justify cycle. We complicate our lives and then we justify why we did it. Maybe your rage and anger is misdirected. Wealth brings many new friends, but a poor man is deserted by his friend. An observation, it's not a principle in life, it's an observation that when you are doing better in life, all of a sudden people show up. As a man, let's say you get a better job. Let's say that your business takes off. Let's say that you achieve a certain amount of success. You will end up with new friends. After all, we are the average of the 5 people that we hang out with, that we associate with. That is not a bad thing, new friends. What if they are people who want success? You know, there's takers and there's makers. There's people who might say, you know what, I want to learn from him. And there's people that might think, I want to take from him, see what I can benefit myself from him. A false witness will not go unpunished, and he who breathes out lies will not escape. It's kind of a self-contained, very clear meaning. Many seek the favor of a generous man, and everyone is a friend to a man who gives gifts. It's kind of obvious. Generous people do get surrounded by people who want something. Did you ever think to yourself, that person only comes around when they want something? Everyone has been through situations like that. That can be good or bad. When it's good, what if it's character that they want? What if it's discipline that they want? That's not a bad thing to be used for. When people are just trying to take from you, that's a different story. But if people admire you, there's nothing wrong with people wanting to be around you because of your success principles. because of the way you operate and conduct your life. Generous. You can be generous with money. You can be generous with time. You can be generous with resources. There's a lot of ways to be generous. Many seek the favor of a generous man. What if you just have a lot of knowledge and wisdom about a certain topic? Don't be surprised when people flock to you for that. All a poor man's brothers hate him. How much more do his friends go far from him? What's the word for a poor man today? A brokey. That's almost meant like tongue in cheek. Someone will call another person a brokey, which means they have no money or they're not making money. And what happens is your despair becomes other people's despair. And people don't want to hang out with a brokey. He pursues them with words, but he does not have them. Whoever gets sense loves his own soul, but he who keeps understanding will discover good. Sense, common sense. Boy, is that missing today, isn't it? I like to say that common sense isn't so common. We should be calling it uncommon sense. In politics, I've heard candidates run as common sense candidates. I've seen cooking shows, common sense cooking. I've seen people talk about fashion things as common sense fashion, more functional stuff. But it's actually uncommon, isn't it? A false witness will not go unpunished, but he who breathes out lies will perish. It is not fitting for a fool to live in luxury, much less for a slave to rule over princes. It's not fitting for a fool to live in luxury. Basically, fools squander their resources, and there's no way they're going to have luxury. They're going to struggle. People who are not good with time, people, or money will never have luxury. And what is luxury? Think about it. Back in that day, there was no such thing as running water. So having servants bring you water and having water, just water for drinking, for washing yourself, that was a luxury. Luxury today, like even the poorest people living today have a luxurious life compared to the people in that day, more primitive times. Luxury is a relative concept. I remember when I was happy to have a car that got me from point A to point B safely. And then I started wanting to do it comfortably and in luxury and caring about what other people think about my car or my truck. You get to the point in life where you don't care what people think about what you drive. You don't care about what people think about what you wear, although you don't purposely drive a clunker. You want reliability. That's wisdom. You want a car that starts every time you turn the key. So for me, practical, common sense, reliability is the most important thing in a vehicle. And I know people do judge you by how you look and what you drive and such, and the woman who is on your arm. But I will say this, be a common sense man. Look for people that are reliable. Look for a woman who is peaceful. All the superficial things that you think make up the woman of your dreams will disappear, will disappoint. Good sense makes one slow to anger, and it is his glory to overlook an offense. I'm seeing the word sense here more than I ever have so far in the book of Proverbs. Good sense makes one slow to anger. Yes. Stop, breathe, think, and then make your move. Slow to anger. But is it saying, don't be angry? It's not. Oh, you have an anger problem. That's not the problem. Anger is not the problem. When someone says, you have an anger problem, say thank you. Thank you for the compliment. Start doing that. Don't let anyone, I don't want to get too psycho-babbly with you, but anger is not a problem. It's what you do with it and how fast you get there. If you're a person who goes from 0 to 60 from just normal level of operating to level 10 anger in about 2 seconds, there's a problem. What we want to do with anger is be slow to anger, not quick to anger. Good sense makes one slow to anger because we make big mistakes when we are fast with our emotions. A king's wrath is like a growling of a lion, but his favor is like dew on the grass. It's nice to have the favor of people who are in high places. Do you have friends in high places? Do you have influential friends in your life? A foolish son is a ruin to his father, and a wife's quarreling is like continual dripping of rain. Well, let's talk about the son. We will do anything for our sons. If you don't have a son, you will find that you want a son that does not embarrass you. You want a son you can be proud of. You want to be able to say, that's my boy. But if your son is foolish, if you are picking him up at the police station, if you're constantly getting calls from the teachers at school, if he is suspended from school, it is just weighing down on you. It just wears you out. What are you going to do? Go back a verse or two. Good sense makes one slow to anger. We have to be slow to anger with our children. That's important. And what did it say 2 verses ago? And it is his glory to overlook an offense. People are going to make mistakes. Your children are going to make mistakes. Be slow to anger with your children. Be slow to anger with your woman, your wife, your LTR, your long-term relationship. And many times it says here, and his glory, it is his glory to overlook an offense. Does that mean forgiving and forgetting? No, just not. It means just to not act on everything. You don't have to act on everything. Let's say your son gets suspended. You have to go pick him up from school. You could yell at him all the way home in the car, or you can let the peace and quiet speak to him. Read between the lines there. Sometimes the lack of words speaks louder than words. And you're just overlooking it. You don't have to address everything. Everything does not demand a response. Keep that in mind. And a wife's quarreling is the continual dripping of rain. Sometimes we're not going to complain about women here, but we're not going to lie. We're going to tell the truth here, and we're going to stick with the topic. Sometimes the continual dripping of rain, it's like the Chinese water torture. It's like a woodpecker just peck, 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 peck. Women nagging. Boy, nothing triggers a woman than being called a nagger. Stop nagging me. Well, maybe she is. Maybe she is nagging you. It's like the continual dripping of rain. Drives you crazy. There is, think about this. Again, let's go back a few verses. Good sense makes one slow to anger. So with the wife's quarreling, just always disagreeing with you, always correcting you, the wife or the girlfriend or the fiance. Good sense, gentlemen, this is a church for men. Good sense makes one slow to anger. Not everything demands a response, a reply. House and wealth are inherited from fathers, but a prudent wife is from the Lord. I like that. House and wealth are inherited from fathers, or maybe the means to purchase a house and the means to get wealth are inherited from fathers. Did the apple fall far from the tree in your life? Are you like your father? Are you better off than your father? Did he teach you how to make money? Did he teach you how to use money? Did he teach you how to save money? But a prudent wife is from the Lord. The note says it emphasizes rather that the outcome of one's choice of spouse is not so easy to predict or control. A happy marriage is indeed cause to thank God. How interesting. Two verses in a row. One says a wife's quarreling is a continual dripping of rain. The next one says a prudent wife is from the Lord. So there's a quarreling wife and there's a prudent wife. We just see a little contrast there. The prudent wife is from the Lord. Should you trust your own desires? How do you find a prudent woman? Usually we won't hook up or marry a quarreling woman. That usually comes out after. The quarreling shows up later in a relationship. A prudent wife is from the Lord. Does she become prudent in your relationship, or is she a prudent woman that you recognize somewhere? That's a good question, right? Look for a prudent woman. I've been saying a man settles where he has peace. So let's look for a woman who is a builder. These are themes that I've touched on quite a bit over the years. Look for a woman who is a builder, not a destroyer. Look for a peaceful woman. Look for a prudent woman. Slothfulness casts into a deep sleep, and an idle person will suffer hunger. Basically, you get the fruit of your labor. You do nothing, you get nothing. You solve problems, you will be rich. In my business consulting, I help people solve problems in their business. Solve a problem and then market the solution, period. People who don't solve problems will end up in a deep sleep and will suffer hunger. He who keeps the commandment keeps his life, but he who despises his ways will die. Whoever is generous to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will repay him for his deed. Poor can be poor in spirit, can be poor financially. Being generous to the poor, giving up yourself. Helping people who have less than what you do. Discipline your son, for there is hope. Do not set your heart on putting him to death. Be slow to anger. Discipline your son, for there is hope. There is hope for your children. There is hope for you. With discipline, are you leading a disciplined life? Typically, children, as they're growing up, are not disciplined. Where do they get that from? You. They get the discipline from you. A man of great wrath will pay the penalty, for if you deliver him, you will only have to do it again. Many times our actions, what do we say? You touch the hot stove only once. Many times the consequences of our folly are the greatest teacher. Many times being at the bottom of the barrel, as I used to say, bottom of the barrel university, is a great teacher. If you keep getting rescued, you never learn. How have you learned from your mistakes over the years? Listen to advice and accept instruction that you may gain wisdom in the future. There is wisdom in a multitude of advisors and counselors. When I go to my monthly mastermind group, it's all about advice and instruction. You talk about your problem, your issue, your challenge, and then I have 12 men sitting around a table that start giving me advice and instruction on how I can solve that problem. and gaining wisdom in dealing with my work. I do encourage you to join a mastermind group. Many are the plans in the mind of a man, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will stand. How do you consult with the Lord before you make a decision? Many are plans in the mind of a man. I guess there's a protocol, right? Make sure that what you do, your goals, are consistent with good living, good providing, peaceful, prudence. But it's the purpose of the Lord that will stand. What is desired in a man is steadfast and love, and a poor man is better than a liar. What is desired in a man is steadfast love. It's not a word we use much anymore, right? When was the last time you used the word steadfast? Probably not too often. You can't even remember. There is a Gaelic poem that talks about the face of a steadfast man, firm, decisive. The fear of the Lord leads to life, and whoever has it rests satisfied. Fearing the Lord meaning shunning sin and evil. But he will not be visited by harm. Well, there's some great common sense there. When you shun evil, you literally will not be harmed. And it leads to life. How many times, you know the joke, gee, I wonder what this button does. Don't be like that. Fear the Lord, and you will live. The sluggard buries his hand in the dish and will not even bring it back to his mouth. He's so lazy he can't even feed himself. The sluggard, the lazy man, the man without vision. Isn't it funny? You can take two men, they both have 24 hours in a day. One man can make $1,000 in a day, another man will make $100 in a day, but they have the same time. What's the difference between a productive man and a non-productive man? A sluggard buries his hand in the dish. He's so lazy he can't even feed himself. Strike a scoffer, and the simple will learn prudence. Reprove a man of understanding, and he will gain knowledge. When a scoffer gets struck, gets disciplined, there is some. Let me put it this way, does that deter other people from doing stupid things? Yes, it does. When you see people suffering consequences of their own foolishness, that is a lesson for you to learn. Does it deter you from doing the same thing? It should, if you are wise. Reprove a man of understanding, and he will gain knowledge. There's nothing like someone who is teachable. Are you teachable? Or are you a know-it-all? Has anyone ever called you a know-it-all? You get into an argument with somebody and they say, you're such a know-it-all. A man of understanding doesn't know it all, but wants to learn. He who does violence to his father and chases away his mother is a son who brings shame and reproach. Honor your parents. They might not be perfect. In the same way, you are not perfect with your own children, or when you do have children, you will not be perfect. One of the quickest ways to reveal your shortcomings is be married and have children. Those two things will teach you more about life and teach you more about yourself than anything else. You can't seek the lessons. There's no way you can even learn the lessons that being married and being a parent can teach you. Those two things teach you stuff about yourself that you had no idea. Never be violent to your father. Never chase away your mother. Don't Don't be a son who brings shame and reproach to them. Cease to hear instruction, my son, and you will stray from the words of knowledge. To be teachable, again. You see these themes here. I think it's kind of interesting. To be teachable, to be always learning. In the past couple of weeks, you've heard me say that education is a lifelong process. That's just another way of saying be teachable. There's even an app called Teachable where you can learn things. You don't know how to cook. You don't know how to start a fire. You don't know how to sew. You don't know how to build anything. You can probably find those things on Teachable. A worthless witness mocks at justice, and the mouth of the wicked devours iniquity. And the last verse says, condemnation is ready for scoffers and beating for the back of fools. Most of the time, the negative consequences that we experience in life are because of foolish behavior, foolish thoughts, foolish words. And there's always negative consequences to foolishness. That's Proverbs chapter 19. Next week, Proverbs chapter 20. Thank you for coming to Church of the Total Man, a church for men.